Guy Georges was rejected early on, as he was given away by his mother because of the attitude towards mixed-race kids in his hometown. He was made a ward of the state before he was adopted by a family who had 7 biological children along with 13 foster children. At 14 years old, Guy started stealing food from stores and carrying a knife around. He then attempted to strangle his mentally disabled sister before attempting to strangle his other sister with an iron bar. His foster mother was fed up and sent him to a psychiatric hospital. After he was released, he continued to commit crimes, mainly stalking and attacking multiple women in the area. Although he was always caught for these assaults, his punishments were very light and he was able to run free in the streets as a violent sexual predator, as he soon progressed to murder, leading to the biggest manhunt in the history of France. Welcome to History's Biggest Villains. Guy Rampillion was born on October 15, 1972 in Vitry-le-François to a French mother and a black father. His mother's parents rejected him not only because this was his mother's second child out of wedlock with an American soldier, but also because there was a stigma against mixed children in their hometown of Angers. After 6 years of shuffling between foster homes and his mother's care, Guy became a ward of the state before being adopted by the Morin family, who had a total of 20 children, 7 biological and 13 foster. Guy's last name was changed to Georges, while his mother moved to California with her other son, marrying another American soldier. As you would expect in a family with that many children, Guy didn't receive the love and attention he wanted, so he began to lash out instead. In 1976, a 14-year-old Guy tried to strangle his younger sister Rosalind, who was mentally disabled. 2 years later, he tried to strangle another one of his sisters, Christiane. Miss Morin became concerned for the safety of her other children and sent Guy back into foster care. After being rejected again, Guy took out his anger on women in the area. On February 6, 1979, he attacked a young girl named Pascal C., attempting to strangle her before she escaped. He was eventually caught, but was released after a week. Guy began to drink heavily and sank more and more into his depression. In May 1980, he attacked Jocelyn S. Then a month later, he attacked Rosalind C., stabbing her in the face. Both girls would survive these attacks, as Guy was caught and served a year in prison. After he was released, he moved to Paris with a friend, where he frequently lived in squats. These were abandoned buildings where people from all walks of life could come to freely have sex and do drugs without judgment. Most of the people at the squats said that he was a nice guy who had a way with the ladies. On November 16, 1981, Guy attacked Natalie C., one of his neighbors, as she was returning home. She was raped, stabbed multiple times, and left for dead, but she miraculously survived. After serving a 5-month sentence for theft, he attacked another woman. On June 7, 1982, in a car park, he grabbed Violet K., raping, stabbing, and strangling her, but she managed to escape and alert the police. Guy was arrested a few days later and sentenced to 18 months in prison. Shortly after his release, he attacked 21-year-old Pascal N. in a car park, raping and stabbing her before she escaped. As Guy was caught later that evening, he was sentenced to 10 years. Due to good behavior, near the end of his sentence, he was allowed to leave the prison during the day, but he had to report back and spend the night. On January 24, 1991, Guy decided not to report back to prison and instead traveled to Paris. He saw an attractive young woman walking down the road, 19-year-old student Pascal Escarfel. He followed her home and grabbed her as she was opening up the front door. Holding a knife to her throat, he forced his way in, tying her up and raping her before slitting her throat and watching her take her last breaths. A week after the murder, he simply returned back to the prison like nothing happened. Guy was officially released from prison on April 4, 1992, but he went right back to attacking women. On April 22nd, he attacked Eleanor D., who escaped and reported the incident as he was arrested again. On January 7, 1994, he attacked 27-year-old Catherine Rock in an underground parking garage, where he raped and murdered her. 6 days later, he attacked Annie L., killing her on the patio of her home. He laid low for a while before striking again on November 8th, attacking 22-year-old Elza Bandy in the parking garage of her home, raping and killing her. A month later, on December 10th, he raped and murdered Dutch architect Agnes Nijkamp in her home. The media finally began to report about a killer in East Paris. In June 1995, he attacked Elizabeth O., but she was able to escape. On July 8th, he raped and murdered 27-year-old Helena Franking in her apartment after she returned from a night out. On August 25th, he attacked Melanie B, but she was able to escape. The police finally made some progress in the investigation as they got a vague description of the attacker from Elizabeth O, but she wasn't able to identify Guy when the police showed her a picture. The police were also able to find DNA from the same person at 2 crime scenes, as well as a footprint from the scene of Helena Frinking's murder. However, it was later found that the police used illegal means to obtain this DNA, as they asked a judge to manually search through DNA records of private clinics, which is a HIPAA violation. In September 1997, Guy attacked Estelle F, but she fought him off and escaped as he tried to rape her. On October 23rd, he broke into the apartment of 19-year-old student Magale Sarati, where he raped her and stabbed her to death. 5 days later, he attacked Valerie L in the stairwell of her apartment. On November 16th, he entered the home of Estelle Magd, raping and murdering her, as she would be his last victim. The police investigation was finally gaining steam, and they were certain that several of their unsolved crimes were linked, and they had a potential serial killer on their hands. This caused a media frenzy, spreading panic amongst the Parisian citizens. The killer was named the Beast of Bastille because of the fact that several of his attacks had occurred in the Bastille quarter, as this led to the biggest manhunt in the history of France. The police finally caught Guy in Montmartre on March 27, 1998. Arresting him for the rape and murder of Pascal Escarfel, Catherine Rock, Elsa Bonatti, and Agnes Nieschamp. Guy's DNA was found at all 4 crime scenes. As he was confronted with this evidence, he confessed to all 4 murders, plus 3 other unsolved cases. While in custody, he tried to escape in December 2000, a few weeks before his trial. He and 3 other cellmates tried to saw through the bars of their cell, but they were caught by prison guards. Guy was given a mental assessment and deemed legally sane and fit to stand trial. Guy's trial began on March 19, 2001. There were 50 witnesses that testified against him, including 4 of his victims, some of their family members, and even his foster mother. Despite all the DNA evidence presented by the prosecutors, along with Guy's own confession, he still pled not guilty to the charges. He retracted his confession, now saying that the police had tortured and beaten it out of him. 8 days into the trial, Guy broke down in tears and confessed. He admitted to the original 4 murders, as well as the rape and murder of Helena Frinking in 1995, Magala Sarati in 1997, and Estelle Magd in 1997, asking for forgiveness from the victims' families. On Thursday, April 5, 2001, he was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole for 22 years for the rape and murder of 7 women between 1991 and 1997. As a result of his conviction, the French Minister of Justice, Elizabeth Guizot, established a national registry that would store the DNA of all convicted sexual offenders. Many people believe Guy will never be released from prison, and they also believe that he will eventually commit suicide, as he allegedly said, "Rest assured, I know I will never leave prison, but I can assure you that I will never serve my sentence. The verdict you render against me means nothing. I will impose my own judgment." Let me first start by saying this is an immense failure on the French justice system. This is the biggest failure I've ever seen. You're telling me a guy rapes a girl, stabs her several times, and he gets an 18-month prison sentence? Like, he tries to kill a girl and strangle her, you have him in jail for a week? He tried to kill a woman and you're giving him day release. The fact that he was able to not return to prison for a week and you don't send out the National Guard looking for this guy is crazy. The fact that he could just come back a week later when he was supposed to be back that same night. Of course, you're going to say, oh, he's a bad person. Yes, he's a bad person, but the authorities that were there to catch him failed tremendously. What do you mean 18 months for rape and attempted murder? What do you mean? Even 10 years with early release is unethical for the type of crime that is being committed. The fact that it took this for you to say, you know what, let's store the DNA of all the sex offenders that we have. This guy's going around just attacking and raping women, but you're letting him go. This is multiple times. This is like the 3rd or 4th woman he's done this to, but yet 2-year sentence, 1-year sentence, 18 months, a week, 10 years with early release. Who cares? All these women died and had their lives changed because of the failure of the French justice system. Thank you for watching. Leave a like if you enjoy. Hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Turn on my post notifications. Thank you. Please be safe. Stay on the grind. I'm out. Peace.